Welcome. Hello. Hey, you guys. Hey, everybody. This is an opportunity for us to spend some time together. I am coming to you from my comfortable couch in my house, in my living room. This is I'm really grateful to have a comfortable place to sit and spend some time talking about what's happening right now. So we are going through this collective experience that is pretty unique, really different, uncharted territory. And with that comes a really complex, multifaceted response within the world around us, the community closer to us, and then within our own experience. So lots of vacillating and layered things to sort of hold and to try to process, and it can really be a shock to the system. So in the last few days, I have had conversations with people who have said that they are finding themselves sort of suddenly just overcome with anger or sadness. A few people have said that they have been doing something that seemed to be very kind of mundane, like wiping off the kitchen counters, sometimes doing something that's a regular part of their practice, like doing yoga. Someone was out for a walk and suddenly found themselves really kind of crippled over with grief and felt like they didn't know where it came from. So let's take a pause. Let's take a minute to just acknowledge that this is really difficult. We find through research that part of what helps human beings get through times of struggle and trauma and crisis, times where there's cognitive dissonance, where it's really hard to wrap your mind around what is happening. And sometimes that can be, something that shifts over time. But one of the things that is a key component in maintaining or drawing in health is a sense of community. So here we are finding community. So whether I know you well, or we've met once, or maybe we don't know each other, but we're right here, we're creating that community. So that's a good step. When we are in denial, that can be healthy too. So some level of denial can be protective. And so I think the experience of being able to observe ourselves in denial can be really strange. And I think in my own experience and from what other people have been saying, either to me directly or I've been reading, people have this fluctuating denial. So in grief, I just popped into my head that Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who did a lot of research on people who were going through the process of death and dying, so their own process, but also as it pertains to people who are close to or around the process of death and dying, one of the first stage is denial. So it's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. So denial is the first step and as there's more and more information coming in, that can foster more denial, and it could also strip down some of the layers of denial. So how do we regulate that, and are there techniques or practices that we can cultivate to come back and have some sense of agency of what's happening within our own body? Because that's really what it comes down to. And how are we embodying this time? And there can be senses of intense fear and anger, You may be feeling numb, or you may have feelings of sorrow or confusion. Part of what is a healthy way of experiencing life is when you have a full range of emotions. So when you can experience all of those emotions, and it can be hard when you're in the middle of a really, really stressful collective, conscious, and individual period of tremendous contraction. So we have our sense of community. One of the things that we can do as part of the community, so our collective community, part of what we can do is we can send our focus, at least for some time, to places where there are positive things happening, where people are coming together, individuals are, so as collectively, maybe not physically coming together, but collectively finding ways to make a positive impact. And we can think about the helpers, the people who are even making small, what could be small and simple but profound actions. So people who are reaching out and picking up the phone and calling somebody, certainly people who are in the medical field, and those who are providing services that are so desperately needed in terms of transportation and keeping the stores open, the essential things that we need, any number of things that I'm sure would come to mind if we were to pause and send our energy in that direction. So that's one thing, to give yourself the opportunity to actually think about those things rather than immediately feeling this need to rush back in and think about and process other types of news. So giving yourself the opportunity to do that just for a few moments can be helpful. And then what are our practices? So we're really, really lucky that there's a rich history of research. So in the past and very recently and ongoingly, lots of research has been done to look at the ways that trauma can impact the body and impact the our cognitive functioning, our nervous system, etc. And there are some really concrete tools. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and then I'm going to also offer 4 things that you can do that will have a positive impact on your nervous system and can maybe help you with coping with what's going on right now, and in a really, really basic way. So it's okay to focus on yourself. I know that I went through many years where I would say, because of the kind of work that I did clinically, working with a lot of traumatized people, including children, I would look at what I was experiencing in my own body, and I would say, everybody should have such problems. Everybody should have such problems. Like, oh, what I'm going through doesn't really matter because look at these things that other people are going through that, I didn't give myself any space to feel a valid a valid spot, a valid, I'm trying to think of the right word. I didn't give myself permission to feel that I could let go, and I felt very hypervigilant. So that's part of what can happen for us too. All these things are happening, so that hypervigilance can come in, and some of this stuff is really adaptive as well. So we can turn our focus to slowing down and bringing in healing modalities. So I'll start with the first is to water yourself. Watering yourself could take different forms. I'm going to be really literal with this one. So I'm going to say to take a glass of water and to drink. You could also think of it in terms of bathing. Sometimes people find that taking a shower or a bath can be a way of finding some self-soothing. Water for sure is helpful. There's a lot of significance with water. It is cleansing. It's internally cleansing. There are religious practices that involve using water. So there's a lot of symbolism, and also in a very, very concrete way. Part of what can happen when we're going through a lot of stress is that we can forget to drink water. What happens in part is that the sympathetic nervous system is really driving the car, and so that causes us to be in a fight or flight or freeze state. So I know a lot of times we'll talk about fight or flight. So if you're in a situation where you're under duress, or there are things that are coming at you that you weren't anticipating, your body automatically and very protectively and functionally, in ways that can be very helpful at times, kind of ramps us into a situation where we're ready to fight or flight, but there's also freeze. So when we're in situations where fight or flight doesn't work for us, also another layer can be freeze, which is where we're really immobile, and it can affect our function. So it can affect things like sleeping and drinking and eating. So drinking water is a really good thing to do. It's a really nice way to take care of yourself too. It's simple. So nice idea would be to have a glass of water, maybe even a few glasses of water around places that you find yourself during the day, so that you can drink. And maybe you have a goal for yourself. You don't have to do that, but to make sure that you do drink some water is good. So that'll be number one, drinking water. A second thing is to get your pillow. So the pillow that you may have more than one pillow that you sleep with at night. You use to rest your head on at night when you're in bed. But you can choose one if you don't have a primary, and you could designate one. So I have one here, and I am going to see this as my primary pillow. So this is going to be my primary pillow. You could change your pillowcase. So after this, if you want, you don't have to at all, but you could change your pillowcase. Maybe if you happen to have a clean pillowcase, you could put it on, or maybe you want to stick with the one that you have. So take a few moments, and if you don't have a pillow, just pause this. If you'd like, you can pause it and go and grab your pillow. So once you have your pillow, just take a few moments to look at your pillow and breathe deeply. Notice the size of your pillow, so how wide it is, how long it is. You can notice what it feels like, what's inside of it. Are there parts of it that feel like they're a little more compressed, and parts that are maybe a little fuller? Notice your breathing as you do this, and then you could also notice what the pillowcase feels like. What is the texture? Can you detect a temperature? Are there parts of it that feel cooler? Are there parts of it that feel warmer? So I know sometimes maybe you've had the experience, I know I have, where I move my foot under the covers, and I find a cool spot. Maybe I snuggle the covers on a little tighter and feel the warmth. So this is your pillow. And it can be soothing for the nervous system to hold onto a pillow. And if you develop a more conscious connection with your pillow, that can become part of your own self-care. That you have your pillow, this is where you rest your head at night. Maybe you feel a little restless and you fold it and you place it between your knees when you're lying on your side body. There are a lot of things you can do with the pillow. So that's number one. Your pillow, it's really primary. It's basic. Basic things are not always simple, but they are effective. So that's the first tool. That's the second tool. So the water was number one. So we have the water, we have a pillow. The third I'm going to focus on is nature. So it's a really classic way to bring us into awareness of the present moment, and also to help to regulate thoughts that are swirling around. A way to become grounded and really absorbed is to find something in nature. So I'm gonna use a plant. So if you happen to have access to an area that has trees are also a really, really good option. So if you were to go outside, if you have access around your home or your building to go outside, then you could do this with a tree. Sometimes people hug trees. So so Noreen, who's one of my fellow yoga teachers at Samadhi, can tell you, we were on a trip and I stopped and hugged a tree for a while. So I think she moved on after a while. But that's good. That's good energy. So part of also, so here's my plant that I'm using. It's a ponytail palm. So I am going to notice what it looks like. If you can really become extremely curious about what is happening with a plant or a tree or a flower, it could be grass. So if you really observe all of the details, taking in the colors, the way that the light maybe creates more, allows you to see more clearly in certain parts. Are there parts where it's a little more shadowed? The sense of touch. You could place your face against the plant. Maybe you can detect a smell. You could close your eyes. So when we connect with more of our senses, the more sensory awareness that we can bring in, the more grounding the experience may manifest within the body. And you may want to water. You may want to bring some water out, and you're connecting with life. You're connecting with your own life. You're connecting with the life of other things that grow. And water is nourishing. Water is nourishing for plants and trees and for us. So maybe bring some water out with you, or if you have, I'll give my plant a little bit of water. Setting my plant back down. And then for the fourth and final practice that we'll engage in today, we're going to do what's called box breathing. B-O-X. It creates a box, and it is has been found to be useful. Again, there's research for all these things that we're talking about today. All of these things are solid research that these things are helpful, Box breathing is used by people who do meditation, people who do yoga, many others. Police officers, Navy SEALs use it, nurses, other people in the medical field. Students sometimes are trained to use this. And part of the effectiveness is that you bring breath in, you bring in oxygen, you hold it in, you hold it out, and that can help to engage and soothe the parasympathetic nervous system. So rather than the fight, flight, freeze, the parasympathetic nervous system helps with the processes in the body. It helps with rest. It helps with digestion. It helps us to eat, to remember to eat with ease. So any kind of practices that increase or tap into, improve the parasympathetic nervous system are practices that are very, very healthy. And research has shown that yoga and meditation, if you read any literature about the parasympathetic nervous system, 9 times out of 10, if not more, you'll find references being made to yoga and meditation. So the box breathing is a form of meditation. Anyone can do it. You don't have to consider yourself to be, a person who does meditation to do it. We're going to begin by coming into a comfortable seat. So you don't have to sit on the floor. You don't have to have your legs crossed. You can sit anywhere that's comfortable. If you'd like to sit on the floor, you certainly can do that. So the box breathing, you begin by taking a really deep, full breath in, and then opening your mouth and letting it go. That sets the stage to begin the practice. So you're going to be counting to 4. Nice and slow as you inhale. So begin to breathe in. Fill every part of your lungs fully, and then allow the abdomen to fill. Pause, and then count to 4 as you hold your breath in. And then as you exhale, open your mouth. Let all of the breath come out from your lungs and your abdomen. Be conscious of the feeling as it leaves. And then hold for 4. And then we're going to do that again. So I was talking and it might not have been clear. So you're inhaling for 4. Again, fill the lungs, fill the abdomen. At the top of your number 4, you're going to hold for the count of 4. You're going to open your mouth and you're going to exhale the breath out. Be conscious of the feeling of the breath as it flows out. Pause and count to 4. Inhale to 4, breathing in through your nose. Hold once again for the count of 4. Exhale through your mouth to the count of 4. And then let that go. Let it all go. Close your eyes. Go inside. The slow holding of your breath allows the oxygen in the blood to build up. And an increase of oxygen in the blood enhances the response of the vagus nerve, which stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, that part that is soothing to the nervous system and helps you to rest and digest. And then allow your eyes to open. I want to thank you for being here, for joining me. I'm going to be doing some more concrete strategies, talking about concrete strategies, some yoga poses that are particularly good for times of stress, and some other practices. For now, I want to really thank you for being here, for joining me. My yoga community is such a foundational part of what helps to keep me grounded and to take care of myself. So the light in me honors and bows to the light in you. Namaste. Namaste, namaste, namaste. Sending you so much love. I love you.